What's up guys, this is TyranitarTube and today we are diving into Riddler Coup. I'm gonna show you guys a few tweets to speculate while we lead up to that DLC trailer coming out at the end of the month. Okay, check this out. I've already teased the third legendary. Repeat it again now. You know what I mean. Like when you watched the first episode of Pokemon anime and a golden bird suddenly flew by. So we tweeted this a long time ago before the games even came up, but what he's comparing the third legendary to here is the first episode where Ho-Oh flies by. There are a couple ideas to this, like the code name being Titan, who is constantly mentioned Titan. Third legendary is a giant rainbow. But the best way I can interpret this tweet is him saying that the third legendary is something that is shown quite literally in front of you, but you just don't realize yet. He says, you pretend to know everything, but the truth is, LOL. Where's the rest of the sentence, bro? And yeah, one cool take for what Ku might be talking about here has to do with terastallizing. When a Pokemon terastallizes, a face shows up at the crown of the Pokemon. We know the third legendary here is responsible for terastallizing. That face that shows up should relate to it. I try to look for it on the third legendary, but the more I look at this guy, the less I can even tell what it is. Like, now it's starting to look like a fish. Maybe that face would be shown on that ball back here. Alright, next tweet. PS and PV need to serve their monarch. Is he or she also a P or being a T, which you will know about in the next year? Well said, Ku. So one way to read this is Suicune and Virizion need to serve their monarch. Serving the monarch probably means serving Team Electric Trainer Team Joe, which is funny because my idea still works that they could accidentally be serving the wrong team. Then he says, is he or she also a P or being a T? What the frick is a T? You were just talking about Suicune and Virizion a second ago. Now you're saying he and she. So maybe he was talking about Professor Scarlet and Professor Violet? So is Sada and Turo also a paradox or being a T? Now he says for the T, which you will know about in the next year. So maybe T is something we'll uncover in the DLC. But how does this even make sense? Is Sada and Turo a paradox? See, while we're in the time travel days, I thought it'd be cool if Sada was from the future and Turo was from the past. And they're obsessed with the other time period and build a time machine that only lets them travel in that one direction. Then they land in the current time period. The machine breaks, they have Arven, and before it's fully repaired, they die. But now we're starting to get into the territory where it might not even be time travel. So in a world where these paradoxes might be fake Pokemon, what does it mean if you're asking if Sada and Turo are also paradoxes? Alright, next tweet. DLC has some cool new features, but you have no chance to know them in advance. Revealing a little PK Hex-like features. Don't miss it. So you guys know PK Hex. It's a program developed by a couple dudes like Cafotics who allow hacked Pokemon to be made. It was called Pokegen back in Gen 4 days and it was the main way people Wi-Fi battled. This sounds like who is hinting that a legal Pokegen might be in the DLC. Back in X and Y's days, a lot of people were happy to breed a Pokemon with perfect IVs, EVs, and nature, but as the world now moves to a zombie attention span phase, scrolling through TikTok, even Pokemon's done things like getting rid of the battle frontier and making shiny hunting easier, so it's completely logical that they would start to make a Pokegen in the game. Okay, so how could something like this even work? Maybe it's something where you have to pay huge amounts of money and there's an in-game Pokemaniac who will do the breeding and all for you and create a perfect Pokemon. Alternatively, it could be something more magical. We already have the third legendary who might be making Pokemon out of fairy dust, so imagine he makes a whole perfect Pokemon for you from scratch. Either way, I'm sure Pokemon generated in this way would have an indicator so that the ones you worked hard to make aren't confused with it. Next tweet. Wanna know PS type? It's not depth. If you solve, you know. Well said, Ku. If I solve the riddle, I'll know. Alright, let's break this down. Do you want to know PS type? It's not depth. Thanks, Ku. That wasn't on the list. There's no depth type. So when you read the comments, it's people wondering if Paradox Suicune is maybe not even a water type at all, since depth makes you think about the deepness of the ocean. It's not depth. He could have just said water. Now, we already know a different leak, the move Hydro Steam, which would imply that this has to be a water type. We also know that potentially leaked trademark that hints that it's a water name, something like Storming Sea. So how could it not be a water type? Well, let's try to solve his riddle. The key hint here is it's not depth. Lao Shi Ming is the name of a Chinese poem. Let's read the poem together. Shout out to Doipi Hooves here for helping me put some pieces together. So here's the poem here. The translation to the right of this is kind of ass. When I read it, it didn't make any sense. So I tried to find someone who translated it better. I mean, this one says, who heeds the hill's bare height until some legend grows around the hill? Who cares how deep the stream before? Its fame is written country lore. There's our key word there. Deep the stream. Go back to Ku's tweet. It's not depth. And so here's a better translation I found. Shout out to Feng Jing Ming. Here's the poem. It matters not the height. If an immortal resides in a mountain, it becomes famous. It matters not the depth. If a dragon lives in a body of water, it becomes magical. Not the depth. So Ku might be hinting, if this poem is the answer to his riddle, that Paradox Suicune is a dragon? Seeing as the dragon in the poem is in the water, maybe water dragon. You telling me the typings are grass psychic and water dragon? Those are insane. Now, if you remember a few videos ago, I showed a more modern tweet from Ku that says, we have already told you the Paradox Suicune and Virizion typings, and no one was really able to crack what he meant by that. One possibility is that it comes from this tweet here. Water dragon is crazy. When you look at Suicune, he does look like he could be dragon. Okay, cracking all that drained the time. Let's move to some cool art I saw of the DLCs. So this is by Elite Robo, and it's concept arts of something we might see when February 27 rolls around and we get that DLC trailer. The same way we had Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra, 2 new DLCs to tease more content in Scarlet and Violet. He went with Depths of Null, with the 3rd legendary hinted here, and that face, that damn face. And then Vibrant Heights, with the 2 Paradox legendaries shown. Hey, yo, look, he put red on purple and purple on red. I want them to benefit off the wrong leader somehow. Dude, this is so cool. And this is pretty much in the gist of what we would see on that DLC trailer. So here's this concept. Depths of Null. A few months after the main story ends, an earthquake hits Paldea. This in turn causes a sizable amount of ancient and future Pokemon to be spotted across Paldea. That is chillin'. You know the 3rd legendary is doing something down there. You, Nemona, Gita, and the members of the Elite Four travel back to Area Zero with plenty of new Paradox Pokemon to be seen. As you reach the depths of the Zero Lab, you uncover a new set of caves that was hidden right beneath it. What mysteries await, and more importantly, what caused the earthquake? So it'd be a whole arc starting from the discovery of a cave that goes even deeper into Area Zero. You would imagine we go in, get separated from the others, Gita snooping around doing something, and maybe if the disc Pokemon is a Dream Maker, what's underneath Area Zero is actually more paradisal than just this dark abyss. Maybe it's this bright, beautiful area, but it's secretly entirely misdirecting. Maybe at the end the veil comes off and it's this terrifying place. Anyhow, that's pretty cool. And even though it's just the concept, this is the gist of what we would get at the end of this month. Just wait for that trailer, bro. Alright, second DLC, Vibrant Heights. After a powerful ancient or future Pokemon escapes from the deepest parts of Area Zero into not just Paldea, but a neighboring region, you are tasked by the Pokemon League to apprehend it. When you finally arrive in said region, you hear rumors about an organization known as Neo Flare. Don't do that. Don't butter me up. Neo Flare just having caught an extremely powerful Pokemon. Explore areas new and old in this familiar region and stop Neo Flare's plan. Alright, I gotta stop this video. Okay, now I see the order. This would be a bigger deal than the 3rd legendary, a whole region to explore. Now, obviously, Game Freak is not designing a whole region in 3D to get 20 bucks from you. But what they can do is a small portion. Southern Kalos. That's all I ask. And also, forget I asked. A region hasn't been revisited since Gen 2. There's more likelihood that it won't happen than it will. Doesn't stop us all from still pretending like it's gonna happen. Make sure you shank that like button. I got more cool riddles I want to talk about, so we'll do that next time. And make sure to check back on February 6th for the Pokemon Sword Extreme Randomizer. See you on the next video.